BookTube, welcome back to the History Shelf.
Hello.
My name is Peg, and this is my beautiful partner.
Oh, checks in the
Martine.
mail.
Thank you.
Hello.
So, guys, we are here. Sorry for the delay, but we are here for our wrap up of The Mirror
Bum, bum,
Cracks
bum.
from Side to Side by Agatha Christie, part of our A Marple a Month series that we started doing last November, I think, or something like
Yeah.
that. And we are almost finished with the Marple
no,
books. I think we've
almost.
got a couple more plus a short story compilation,
That's right.
which we are going to try to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So without further ado,
Oh, wait. We're trying out new microphone and new camera. So,
let us know
Yeah.
how it sounds to you.
and if the visuals are terrifying, let us know that too.
I have a brand new widescreen. What do you call this? A webcam?
Yeah.
And a brand new microphone. We got rid of the old creaky one. It's
You can't.
high
You don't have
quality.
to touch it. We're good.
I was going to show it to him.
What?
Can I show him?
Sure.
Look at this.
Somebody had a birthday.
It was a birthday gift. This is my Yeti microphone, and this is like top of the best, one of the best microphones for vlogging, I guess.
Yeah.
So
We'll see.
let us know how it sounds. But you've got a wider camera frame now, which is fantastic because before we were always trying to squeeze in, and now we can just lean back.
Hopefully everything's in focus.
Yeah, you get a wider view of my office
And
here.
you get to see what the dogs are doing behind us. So apologies for that too.
You over there, but
Yeah.
Roxy's just hanging out. It's a hot day here in outside
Too
Denver.
hot.
Tomorrow's gonna be 96.
It's too.
So let's just jump right in to The Mirror Cracked. I'll start with my rating. 5 stars.
Yeah.
This by far is my favorite out of all of the Marples that I've read thus far. I know a lot of you agree. I know that Bill Rutenberg,
Bill Boxer.
Bill Rutenberg on Voxer told me that this was his favorite, and I know why now. And it's my favorite for many of the same reasons.
It's great.
Tell us how you felt about it, Martine.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just think it's a big story, and it's, you've got I'm a sucker for classic Hollywood and old Hollywood, and so actually, I saw this for the first time. I take back everything I said about having seen Joan Hickson first. I didn't. I saw the Liz Taylor version with my grandmother when I was 7.
Right.
Or yeah, right in there. It's 1980 film release, and so it kind of stayed with me as a like this gaudy kind of thing, and then I poo-pooed it. Having read the book, the audiobook is terrible, by the way. Don't Amelia Fox can't. It's Mariner Gregg, and it's just really annoying. The book brings a lot of things together in the best kind of way.
Yeah.
So the sort of the same strengths that we recognized in Murder at the Vicarage, and what were some of our other favorites?
Body in the Library.
Body in the Library. You've got that same rapport. I think the thing that I feel sets this apart,
Yes.
is that it kind of feels like a reunion or homecoming, which is well earned because of the amount of time we've spent as a reader, now having read X amount of books before getting to this one. So when Dolly, again a favorite, shows up again, it's like, oh. Or when Dermot shows up again, you're like, oh yeah, Craddock,
Yeah.
and it just feels very well earned.
Yes.
And this was, skipping ahead, this was actually Joan Hickson's final episode, and there is that sense of poignancy in the adaptation, but that's well skipping ahead. I love this book.
Yes, there's poignancy in the adaptations, but obviously it drew from the poignancy of this story
Yes.
as Agatha Christie wrote it. In fact, when I finished, oh, I'm so excited to share this news. So when I finished, I was a little late finishing it. That's why we're also late with this video. But when I, when I had like 30 pages left and I was walking upstairs and I told Martina, I'm going to go upstairs and read. I'm going to finish this.
Wait a second. Let me paint this thing. She was hanging off the walls in the hallway, like kind of draping herself around the wall just before the stairwell, going, I'm going to tell you who I think the murderer is. And she was being very dramatic about it. It was very funny.
Being dramatic.
It was funny.
Much like Marina Gregg.
Yeah, Mariner.
Mariner. And then but then I said, But knowing me, knowing my luck with Marple, I'm totally wrong. And then you're like, well, tell me anyway. So I told her. And then when I went up to read and I finished it, I was like, yeah, it's my first
Yeah.
win.
When she said, I think it's Marina, I was like, oh, that's very interesting.
That's very interesting. Well, let's we're jumping ahead. So for anyone who just wants to get a quick synopsis of the characters, um, okay, so I don't even know where to begin as far as
Can I start?
okay, yes, you can start.
I'm having a hard time just personally dealing with the fact that Marple is getting older. I'm really not happy about this. I think she, kind of like the temperature outside. I think temperatures shouldn't get no higher than 75, and I'm going to make the same rule for Miss Marple. Jane Marple shouldn't get any older than 75, because it's I know that Christie spares us a death scene with her, unlike Poirot, but she's talking about her garden and what the doctor has said and what she can't do and can do. And now she's got this so and so nurse or helper
Knight.
outer
Miss
who's
Knight.
just a pain in the hole. And she is. And I'm just having a hard time with the increased
It's sad.
melancholy. Like she's kind of a person out of time at the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
And she's been further detached from the realities of the development because she's off her feet, literally. Like she's become a homebody and a recluse somewhat because of her advanced age and this injury that has happened.
Yes.
And that sucks.
That's just sad.
That's just where the book starts, though.
Yeah, and it's sad for us as the readers to see her aging in each novel
Yeah.
and getting up there.
Yeah.
But boy, this book had everything. As Trixie and Katya like to say
Oh, God.
when they do their Netflix, when they
Oh, yeah, at the end. This one had everything.
had it all.
Beheadings, corpses, libraries, Banshee.
That's an inside joke. Anyway, we'll move on from that. But it had everything. It had
The catalyst is...
but it had a big a set.
It had
if
a
you
big
will.
canvas.
A big canvas, a big set, which is apropos for the Hollywood, starlet kind of
Big
theme.
characters.
The Hollywood theme, big characters.
And so many parallels.
And we're back at Gossington Hall.
Where it all began, kind of.
It began, but it's remodeled. I felt like it lended itself perfectly for a film and TV adaptations.
Yeah.
It wasn't too clunky or hard to to show movement and things like that. Yeah, but so after I realized I had correctly named the identified the mystery and the whatever, the killer and stuff, then we both got all excited, and this was right before we watched the adaptations. We watched two one night. We were up real late till midnight watching two of them back to back, and then the next day, and then Sunday, then we watched the movie with Elizabeth Taylor. But look, we were writing down notes. I'm like, because I can't
You could
forget
even make out
these.
some of the words.
Yeah, I couldn't. So we're basically talking about obviously Miss Marple. We've got we have Dolly Bantry coming back.
Yeah,
which is-
let's frame it like that. So Dolly comes back because Arthur has passed. And now it's hard not to skip ahead with threads, but Dolly returning now because Marina Gregg and her husband have bought Gossington Hall. Gossington Hall has had a few different owners in between Dolly leaving to visit the grandkids and the offspring that we didn't even know she had, And so she's got this family that she's finding new joy and new life in. Hold that thought. And so it's weird to think that not only is Aunt caught in high definition, my lovely lady, so graceful, so delicate.
Sliced my toe open
so-
in the garage yesterday too.
The license plate that fell
And it went. And you're probably asking, why do we have license plates laying around?
to injure Peggy is the answer.
To injure me.
But
anyway,
but so Dolly comes back and she's kind of the catalyst, like meeting Marina, and it's such an exciting event.
Yeah, it was
This is the most exciting thing that has happened to Mary Mead in X amount of time, probably since the body in the library was discovered.
yes.
And so immediately you have three potential parallels. dealing with time and how we react to time passing and aging, and what do we
right.
stay in the past?
Got
Do
that.
we just, like Marina is kind of hoping to reclaim glory days? Do we fear the present with the new estate known as the development, and these young women who are awesome and wearing slacks and talking about movies and talking about makeup and saying hi to each other? And I have to say, this reminded me of the street that we live on right now, because we've got young families around us,
Yeah.
and every day there's a new baby, or every day the baby has started walking or something like that. And
Yes.
so by proxy we have become part of this
We
extended
have become
family.
Miss Marples.
But Miss Marple,
I think so.
rather than staying and listening to others saying, "Oh, the development. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, things aren't the
Yeah.
way they were. Things will never be the same again. This is gone. This is gone." She ventures out by herself and says, "Screw it. I'm going to go out and I'm going to make connections myself." And when she starts saying, "Oh, that's just like Alice, blah blah blah. That's just like he's just like Edward, blah blah blah," then it's very interesting how Christie does it. Like, that's how Marple makes sense of the world.
She makes sense of the world through her understanding of human nature.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when she goes out to the development, nothing is new or shocking to her. She's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, they're like everyone else I've
The kids
ever
are
known.
still kids.
The kids are things might look different on the outside, way
It's
people
nothing to be afraid
dress
of.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But conventions might change, but basically Miss Marple is like human nature doesn't, and that's something I completely 100%
Yeah.
agree with.
So she embraces the new,
It's immutable.
which is really great. She
Yeah.
chooses to not be afraid.
Yeah.
And Marina is ready to announce that she's in love. She's going to stay there the rest of her life, which she does.
Yeah, do you want me to kind of wrap up the main?
Yeah.
Okay, so the main plot point. So we kind of open with Miss Marple suffering under the ministrations of Miss Knight.
Who's not a shining knight.
Let's look up I have the list here up here. We got Miss Knight. What is her first name here?
I don't want to
Oh my God, they don't even have her listed.
Oh, it's Miss Knight
Oh, it
here.
just
but
says
you
Miss
don't have
Knight.
it.
There
Yeah.
is no first name. Anyway. Okay, so let me go back to that. Okay. And she just wants to get out and about.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'm going to go to the development,
She's an
In the
independent lady.
meantime, yeah, Bantry has come by and told her excitedly. So it's so nice to see them reunited
Yeah.
and sharing just memories.
And they're both fans of Marina. So they have that commonality as well, because in the same way that we have spent these books with Jane, throughout the book, they're reminiscing about Marina's career on stage. And, "Oh, I saw her as this,
Yeah.
and I saw her as that. And she was so beautiful," which must be the hardest thing for a movie star to hear. Like, "Oh, you used to be so beautiful." Like,
Yeah.
screw you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So let me just delve into this point, since most of you have read the book, so you don't really need me to give you the spiel on the plot. But one of the interesting things that the parallels that Martine was mentioning, she drew a distinct parallel. Like, I see similarities between Marina and Miss Marple, and I said, "Please expand on that." And so she did. She made the reference that Marina's okay. There's still a big disparity in their ages, because Marple is so old. I'm guessing 90.
How old is she? Yeah, she's
She's
probably
in her
about
90s,
92,
and so
93.
Marina might be 60, 70? 60.
No, 60, late 50s, 60s.
Late 50s, 60s, okay.
Yeah.
But there's a parallel in what they're dealing with. And so what Martine, do you mind that I'm paraphrasing you?
Mm-mm.
Okay, because I wrote it down in my handy dandy book. That there's points of reflection for both of them.
Yeah.
Slightly different. Whereas with Marina, it's about my glamour day, my day as the it girl,
Yeah.
the it actress.
Very Joan Crawford.
Yeah, because when you hit 50s, you kind of, just like just like in real life, when you saw Elizabeth Taylor in the movie, you're like, yeah, these were, I kept thinking of her in like Antony and Cleopatra.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, shit.
Or National Velvet or something.
She was something else back then. Like, she made the room just go still. Like,
Yeah.
she was drop dead gorgeous,
I
right?
thought she was.
I thought she was a very sultry, smoking, sizzling.
Sultry is what it
There
is
was
outside right now.
And Cleopatra, she was
Yeah.
you can't. So Marina's also feeling that, like, yeah, I used to be this drop dead gorgeous, I used to be this whatever. So,
Yeah.
and I used to be this famous, and she's not getting as many great roles, right?
Yeah.
So she's dealing with that point of reflection,
Yeah.
wishing that, not, she probably does wish that she could go back. And then the parallels with Marple is that she's dealing with looking back. I don't think she necessarily wants to go back.
No.
I think she's been very happy with
She's okay with
the
it.
life that she's lived. But she's still looking back at the village and Mary Mead and how things change. And
I think she's stymied by the incursions into her independence, though. I think she
Totally.
really doesn't like that. And not to skip necessarily, but I think another point of reflection for Marina is that she doesn't have a family, and the disappointments there. So when Dolly is talking about her extended family and how she's creating new experiences and new memories and new relationships and new life through her family, it's a deficit that Marina definitely has.
and she has to like leave the
Yeah.
room
Yeah.
suddenly.
You can't bring it up.
She's so delicate. So
Yeah.
yes. So anyway, so there we saw a parallel. You did for sure between Marina and Marple,
Yeah.
both having
And Dolly.
and Dolly points of looking backward. But yeah, so Marina Gregg is the new one in town, and she's in love with Gossington. They bought it. Her husband is Jason Rudd, a swarthy kind of guy, maybe not the most handsome, but there's
Yeah.
something people are drawn to him with his
Handsome
eyes.
but ugly, but handsome.
Yeah. His secretary, Ella Zelinsky, who we are told is secretly in love with him, of course,
Not so secretly, but
or
yeah.
not so secretly. And then you have oh yes, then the people in the development. This is where the people in the development
Yeah.
come in. So when Miss Marple was walking through the development one day and she twisted her ankle, so Heather Badcock is on the scene and she's going to take care of her,
Help her out.
and give her tea and
With too much sugar?
with too much sugar that she didn't want
No.
because she knows better that it's good for shock and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but but Miss Marple had a point. She's like, she was very kind.
Yeah.
But there's just something about that type of person
I think
that Marple was able to identify right away. Like, she's that type of person.
And I think there's a parallel also between Heather Badcock. I knew I was going to say Babcock. Heather Badcock.
Did you know in the Elizabeth Taylor movie they changed it to Babcock?
Because it's hard to say.
Yeah, they
You're
changed
like,
it to
if there's a
Babcock.
Badcock, where's the good cock? I had to say it. I'm sorry, but between Badcock and Miss Knight, because both of them are like, I'll help you, and
Oh, you just stole that was my.
oh, I'm sorry.
I came up with that later
Yeah.
on. I didn't tell you that I found a third parallel.
Yeah, yeah.
What was,
they
I
have
forget
that
what
need
the
to
second
help,
was, but the third parallel, yeah, was between Heather Badcock and Miss Knight
And
Because-
a little bit of Jason Rudd as well,
and Jason.
because he wants to help too.
We might be jumping ahead a little bit, but yes, yeah, that was my big takeaway. My contribution was the because Heather Badcock. I wish I had written the page number down. It's where Marple is kind of discoursing on people who are very kind,
Yeah.
but yet can't seem to stop themselves. Well, never stop to consider the consequences of their actions to other people. There's never any ill intent. It's always like, I'm here to help. I'm good natured. I want to help people.
Yes.
And they just, a lot of the times, these people have no sense of other people's agency
spatial
and
awareness.
domain. Yeah, and personal. And she just kind of blunders her way through with her goodness, and sometimes leaves, like a china on a bull shop, just shatters behind, right? So, now Miss Knight, she's just trying to be helpful, but she's super annoying because she is impinging on Miss Marple's sense of, fleeting now independence.
And also just privacy as well, and like, I do it this way, and please tell me when my friend calls, and and all of this stuff. You feel for her, and so does Dolly.
And the sickening use of we, she's like, I, it's like Miss Marple would correct her when Miss Knight would be like, aren't we enjoying that? And she's like,
telling everybody-
I
yeah.
am enjoying it.
I did
but-
like how Miss Knight's telling everybody in the village, "Oh, I have to get this for the poor dear," and as soon as she
everyone
leaves the
knows.
store, everybody's like, "Whatever."
Right.
She's smart as a tack. There's no way.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Miss Marple has sent her off on a shopping list so that she's gone for a good half an hour, hour and a half, so she can get to the development, get downtown, or get interacting. Because I think. By virtue of her past having young girls in and having them train up under her tutelage as maids or not au pairs, but maids, I suppose, or house cleaners or whatever.
Housekeepers.
She has some input of new energy into the house every now and then.
Right.
And Cherry
Baker.
Baker
Who's
and
like a new
Gladys
person. I'm hoping we'll see her in the next book,
becomes a very good
which we're reading this month.
a very good character and resource for her.
Yes, Cherry Baker. They
Do we want to talk about returning characters? Because there's also Dr. Haydock. There's, we mentioned Dolly. Griselda makes an appearance. I think Len is passed as well, but Griselda's son is now a strapping young man and is helping Miss Marple out indirectly, and so is Griselda.
yeah.
So again, it does feel like a reunion.
Well, I think Griselda might have been mentioned, but she's not in this one. She's not listed.
She
I
isn't?
think she was in the previous book.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I'm throwing.
we're kind of getting. I think Griselda was in this one. She wasn't. But we and then we have some new faces too, as far as the Hollywood set goes. And I think we've pretty much told you the main characters of this book. You know, Dr. Haydock. Oh, those are great moments where he's chit chatting with Miss Marple, having some dry sherry or whatnot.
Yeah.
And they just reflect on the past, and so it is a deeply poignant book. It ties in the personal.
And he's telling her to unravel.
Oh, the unraveling. Yes, find a murder.
Find something. Yeah, find a murder. Yeah, stop
she
worrying
knows-
about your garden.
She knows exactly what he's talking about. So again, the dialogue, and it was witty and it was smart
And the
sassy.
gardener not doing what she wants him to do
the gardener.
on schedule. She's still her,
Yes,
but she just can't do everything.
I know. Gosh, it's coming for all of us.
Shut up. I'm gonna live forever.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the big event.
Yeah.
So they're hosting a soiree of sorts to raise money, a charity fundraiser for the local ambulance society, or
And everybody can't wait to get in the door,
because they want to meet Marina Gregg.
and they want to see what's been done to Gossington Hall.
That's correct. So we find out through Miss Marple's run-in with Heather Babcock
Babcock.
that I'm so excited. I have an invitation to go because I'm the secretary of this organization.
That's right.
And so Miss Marple knows that was going on. Miss Marple goes home, whatever. So anyway, the soiree happens.
But Heather has already told Miss Marple, I believe, "Oh, I met her before.
Yes,
Have
I
you
met
met
her
Marina
before.
Gregg?" And
I
blah
met her
blah blah blah.
before.
She's full of these stories because she's a huge fan.
Yes. So in essence, again, a cinematic book. It was written with a cinema in mind because I just see people walking in and there's a grand staircase and
And that
everyone's
point of the
filing
landing.
up. And then
Yeah.
she even described the landing,
Yeah.
like they knocked out a wall, they made a bigger place where people could congregate. I said, "Oh, that's smart."
Yeah.
And so it's just as I'm reading the book, it's like I can't look away. It's like I'm watching a movie. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is it's a broad spectacle. Even though it's at the top of this landing, but it was a great mystery.
You've also got like more cinema people. You've got the producer,
You've got the producer,
and you've got
then
the Scarlet.
well, I'm gonna get to
Yeah.
the people coming up the stairs. Like who's coming? Okay, they
So
have
it's like a royal reception.
the mayor of the town.
Lovely necklace you
Lovely
have.
necklace that Elizabeth Taylor. She's funny. We've got a couple people.
You've got the staff. Also, you got the new staff in the household, courtesy of Marina Gregg having moved in. So you got Giuseppe.
Dr. Gilchrist, who is Marina's physician, who lives there.
Yeah.
Which I was getting him. We got him a little mixed up at one point in one of the adaptations
we did.
between him and Haydock. But anyway, moving on. Then we have so now we're on the stairwell, and we've got people coming up to meet them. So the vicar, and he had
Hapless
lemonade.
vicar.
Jason hands him a lemonade. Then it was the mayor, I think, and then it was Heather, and and then her shrinking violet of a husband, Arthur.
Poor Arthur.
Badcock, who's also plays
A significant
significant facts. Yeah,
later
comes
in
in later.
the
Anyway, so you know what happens. The she's talking, and what is really brilliantly done is that the camera moves in to see them talking, hearing her like, "Oh, you probably don't remember," and then it pans out again as Miss Dolly Bantry and her friends are like, "Let's
Checking out
go
the
check out the
bathroom.
bathrooms." That was a funny scene. And she's like, "I don't think anyone would mind." So they're like checking out bathrooms. In the
That
meantime,
one's
she's
in
overhearing.
Marple.
Yeah, she's still
Yeah,
overhearing Heather rattling on like, "Oh, that she's thinking that poor woman,
I
that
know.
Marina. She must have to put up with this all the time." And but she overhears something very key about her being ill. But I got up anyway to get your
And
autograph.
she's kind of braggy about it. She's like, I disregarded doctors, or I
Yeah.
disregarded how sick I was feeling. I put makeup on my face so you wouldn't see anything. That's key.
Yeah, well, everyone heard something slightly the
That's
same but slightly
right.
different.
Yeah.
Well, it was the same but slightly different,
Yeah.
which comes into play. And then Miss Marple, has to find out because, she moves off. Then two other actors come up from her past that we think that she would hate, that they would hate her, Lola Brewster
And they do.
and
They all hate each other,
and
pretty
Ardwick
much,
Fenn. Okay,
because Lola's younger.
and Marina had stolen her previous husband or something like that. They'd all been married 5 times, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So gosh, so then Heather basically spills her drink. That comes
Is
into
given
play
a drink
later.
by Jason.
Is given a daiquiri, which is also Marina's favorite. She ends up going off. Something happens. There's a bump. I don't know. She spills it. And Marina's kind of right there. And she's like, "Oh no, here's mine. I haven't even sipped on it. I've had enough today, or whatever." Then Heather collapses. Dun dun dun.
Suddenly dead.
Yeah, my first thought was like, obviously we're looking at Jason Rudd because he's the one that handed out the drinks.
Or Giuseppe. Or
Well, I was thinking Jason
whomever
because
prepared the drink.
why did I think of Jason? Well, I have to tip my hat to Miss Marple because Miss Marple, after reading 7 books, sorry, I gotta see where we're at in the frame here. After reading 7 of these, I think 6 or 7, she has taught me that the obvious is usually the most the right the answer.
Yeah.
And so and as I was reading on, it's like she was Agatha Christie was just like knew what we were all thinking, and she has her characters talking about it's usually the husband.
Oh, yeah.
And so they
That's right,
talked about
yeah.
it so much that I'm like, then it isn't Jason Rudd because you're overplaying your hand if that's the case with all these references to it's the husband. But
it could be in the end.
it could be in the end not the husband, but still be the obvious thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm just kind of sharing with you guys how I came
Yeah.
to actually guessing it right for once. And I get excited about it because
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm trying to train my mind here. So basically, Heather dies. She tells Marina is prostrate with grief, not prostate.
That would be different.
Would be that she is. She kind of whispers as she's going into a faint, like, I think it was meant for me. It was meant for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you're like, well, shit. Yeah, because who would want to kill Heather Badcock?
But even before then, Dolly is reporting back to Miss Marple.
Thank you. Yeah, help me out.
And she's, Miss Marple's like, tell me everything. Tell me exactly what happened. Tell me what people said. Tell me how they said it. Because she couldn't be there. Okay. And Dolly is like, here's what's weird, is that she froze. That she was meeting all these people. There was a greeting line.
God, how could I forget that?
And she froze and she was looking at something. And this is the whole reason the mirror cracked is from this quote from Alfred Lord Tennyson. The mirror cracked from side to side. The curse has come upon me, cried the Lady of Shalott.
Oh, you memorized it.
Yeah. And so, so they're trying to figure out, like, what could she have been looking at? Was this a trigger? What was being talked about at that moment?
I am so sorry. That was another bombshell cinematic moment.
Yes.
Okay, which was I couldn't wait to see it done on the adaptations. Like, how are they going to frame this shot? And,
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that up. That's a key moment.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, she was talking to her, but then she acted like, like what?
Yeah.
Like shock, horror,
Or
whatever.
something. They're trying to figure out what this
They were
expression
trying to
and
figure
you
out.
know what? I have an anecdote for you. Like Sarah McLachlan, like somebody asked her once during the Lilith days phase,
Lilith Fair.
Lilith Fair, excuse me,
Yeah.
what she thinks about when she's singing these heartfelt songs. She's like, normally I'm going through my shopping list, and so, which is kind of devastating to hear if you're in any way invested
Yeah.
in those songs. But you gotta figure, and this is the excuse that Marina brings up, is that she's met so many people at, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Hi.
Yeah.
And she says, I just froze, okay? I just
You
froze.
just don't know how many times you can say the same thing.
The other thing is, you figure she's on booze, she's on drugs, and you have a brain
Oh,
fart.
that's right. Because it comes to light that she takes this
Calmo.
drug called Calmo, which
Yeah.
I guess in today's would be Xanax,
Xanax or
Valium or
something like that.
something.
Everybody's on it. The house is lousy with it.
I mean, it is. It is. So there's that moment of freezing, and then
She snaps back, and then she's
She's-
like, "Isn't that lovely? Isn't that nice?" But that seems to be the thing when Dolly is telling Miss Marple about it. That's the point of interest that Miss
well,
Marple has.
because Miss Marple at a couple points does her usual thing when someone tells her something interesting or very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's our Miss Marple. So where was I going with this, babe? So we have one body count. We've
One
got
body.
Heather. There's got to be more, right? There's got to be more. I also have to say so I moved away from Jason Rudd quickly. I'm like, I think Ella is in the running. I think she's
Well, I
big
did too.
time in.
She was my leading suspect.
Yes, for obvious reasons, But going back to so then that happens, and then Giuseppe is running around. He leaves for London. He's the butler, or whatever.
He's helping out.
But then like a couple days later or a day later, this
It's a couple of days later. Marina is excuse like not excuse. Marina is lamenting this drama, and so she can't be contacted, not even by the police, which I think is hilarious. She's like, "Oh no, I'm too verklempt." I wonder if Madonna does that. If she's like, "Oh no, I was using Narcan for sepsis." Police, no, you can't investigate. We're not buying it. We're not buying it at all. But even if you can just say, "Hey," but if you can, I mean, we can't do it. Like if the police come knocking on the door, be like, "Hey, today doesn't work for me."
Yeah, right.
So Craddock is Craddock, lovely reunion.
We love Craddock.
And now he's referring to Miss Marple as Auntie.
Or Aunt Jane or Auntie.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Sweet.
I love him, but he has to interview every single other person.
Maybe we should. You want me to make 2 videos?
Yeah.
Just because it's going to take forever to upload, guys. Come back for part 2.
Oh, we're doing it right now.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
We're just going to stop and pick up another one.
And if they haven't read the book, you'll be so excited to find out what happens next.
Yes. But we will be talking in depth about the adaptations. So, all right, guys, come right back. We've got lots more to say about The Mirror cracks
From side to side. Oh,
Okay.
wait, let's do it like this. Here, look.
There you go. That's how it usually goes. Okay. All right. See you soon, guys.
I'll stop scratching my nose too.
Okay.